Hi guys, before we get started, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. You can follow me on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook, and you can go ahead and hit that like button on that page. So don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you. Hi guys, in this video I am showing you how to make a mask with fold over elastic. My length is 7 inches by 2 inches wide, and basically I already have my pattern cut out with that measurement. I basically came across my own measurement by measuring my face. So what I did, I cut 2 pieces of fold over elastic to go on the sides. And what I am doing is I am putting that first piece of fold over elastic and pin it down with the sewing machine needle. And then I will go ahead and take that side and I will insert it in between the fold over elastic. You want to make sure that is in there all the way, and also you want to make sure that that needle is pinned to the very edge of that fold over elastic. That way when you sew, you can ensure that you get both sides and the middle joined together, so you won't have any pieces coming out of your fold over elastic unless you will need to redo it. And this procedure we will do for both sides. In this video, I will not be speeding it up in any form because I would like for you to see step by step. So now I just cut the thread, excessive thread, and I will go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. I will take that elastic once again on the opposite side. We will go ahead and pin that down to as close to the edge as possible with the needle, and we will repeat the same step by putting the material in there. Make sure it's in there very good. And I will just go ahead and sew that part also. And when you get to the edge, basically lift that up, take it back out, and I will be cutting off the excessive edges from the edge. All 4 pieces, and make sure you cut that off. If you notice, I did not stretch that elastic while I was sewing the edges. You do not stretch the elastic on those 2 edges. So after I cut these off, we will go to our length. And with the length, we will be pulling our elastic while we sew in order to give it a snug fit on the nose. If you can see also in my fabric, I have like the top join. It's just easier to work with when I cut the material that way rather than have 2 separate pieces. And for my elastic measurement that will go around my mask, I actually measure 13 and 13 inches using my sewing machine, since it has a measurement right there. So that's a total of 26 inches. And we will do the same step again by pinning the very edge. Actually, I leave like maybe a ½ inch out of that elastic from where I'm sewing. And then I will go ahead and put this part in, the length part in. And you want to make sure that you have the black side in, like that elastic part in there. Make sure it's all the way in there. And you want to make sure that the material is in there as well. I did have some trial and errors where like at the edges, like my edge was not all the way in. And then it's just like, oh, I got to start over. So then you just go ahead and you stretch the elastic while you sew. If you notice, I take a break. I don't sew completely through because I need to make sure I keep stretching that elastic. And I need to make sure that the edges is in there, especially since it's not straight and it's on a curve angle. You always want to make sure that you're stretching and that you get your edges in there. because we want a nice and neat finished product. And we all know unstitching stuff we sew already is not a fun thing to do. So as I get to the edge of that first section, I will stop pulling the elastic. So I'm getting to the edge. Okay, I'm there. So now what I do, this part is like the first strap part that will go around one ear. I have a measurement of a piece of paper. It measures 6.5 inches. So I allow myself 6.5 inches for my over the ear loop. And then I'll just take a bobby pin and I will pin that down just to hold it together, and also for a measurement where I'm at. And as you sew this part, you do not need to stretch the elastic, so please do not stretch the elastic. Just sew as normal until you get to the edge. I usually do 6 inches, but I prefer to leave like that extra ½ inches because you know some of us have a little wider face, and that way it will still fit somebody with a little wider face and a normal. It's just an in-between thing for me. So I'll sew until I get to that pin, and when I get to that pin I will remove it, and I will not lift my needle up after I get to the edge. I will just pull that up, and then I will take the pin out and make sure the needle is still in your fabric. So no need for you to lift up the needle. Then you just fold over. You just take your mask and then you push the other part in, your other length section in. And if you see, I'm trying to make sure that I get it in there really good, because once you mess up on the edges, it's a wrap. Yeah, that's like no bueno. But then you just go ahead and clip that back down, and on this edge you will also pull the elastic as you sew. You can sew and stop and pull. As you can see, I sew, stop, well, I pull, sew, stop. Make sure my edges is in good, and I do that procedure just to make sure that both edges are in, because you have to make sure the back side is, you want to make sure you're sewing on that back side of the elastic also. So you just take your time. There's no need to rush. I mean, to me, it's pretty easier and quicker sewing with fold over elastic. So it's like, even if you take your time, it is not a long process. And this could have been a short video, but like I did mention, I just want you to see everything in real time as how quick it actually is. And I'm doing the same thing, so until I get to the edge, and you'll see me stop pulling. You do not pull on your ear loop once again. I'm just making my 6.5 inch measurement from where I stop, and I will pin to that 6.5 inches in order to keep the elastic folded. And also, as you sew this, you want to rub your finger along the elastic, make sure it stays perfectly folded in half, well, with it where it's creased at, because if you don't, then sometimes it's like you're just sewing on the elastic and it's not folded. See, if you notice, I keep folding it over with my finger and I sew, and then you just run your finger along in order to keep it folded as you're sewing the elastic. Once again, no need for stretching this part. Basically, there's no more stretching of your elastic. Your stretching is only on your upper and lower part. So your over the ear and your sides, there's no stretching of the elastic. And for my all around elastic, I did mention I used a total of 26 inches. As you can see, I'm getting to the pin. I will stop, leave the needle down in the elastic, go ahead and pull that up in order to remove the pin. And at the beginning when I started sewing, I did mention I left like a 1/2 inch in order to get started, because if you start exactly on the tip, sometime the thread can just like bundle up in the same spot. So I just clip that off and I'll turn it over to make the other loop. I did not turn it over, but just make another loop, put it in there, and I will stitch that down just a little bit, maybe a 1/2 inch. I will not sew all that elastic that you see left over. I will just sew 1/2 inch. And also you want to make sure that is in there really good too. So I'll just clip that down and I'll sew 1/2 inch. And on this part, I will sew forward and then I will back stitch. If you see I did a little tugging, it's just to get the needle moving. And then I will back stitch on that part and I go forward again, lift it up and pull it out. I will cut it off. I will cut the thread off. And as for that little excessive part, I will fold it over. Sometimes it depends on the position my extras is in. I will fold it over and I will just leave like enough to sew it down on the little ear strap part, like right there. So I will cut some off. Definitely cut some off so we don't have like a bundle up thing going on, too much of a bundle up thing going on your ear loop. So I'll just go ahead and cut that off, and if you feel like you need to cut some more off, you can also do that. So I'll just go ahead and cut a little bit more off. That way it's just a small portion and a little bit of stitch that I'm doing. And you want to make sure you keep it on the elastic. You really don't want to sew on your white part. Make sure you keep it on the elastic. And I will just forward stitch and back stitch on that in order to keep it in place. You see, I will pull my thread because when you're sewing like small stuff, you need to like pull in order to get that stitch going. And I went forward and then I'm just going backwards and forward again. And I will stop and I will lift that up and I will cut my excessive thread off with my scissors. There you go. And that is my mask with my fold over elastic band. It is a simple process. If there's any messing up, is not getting your edges in all the way or making your elastic diameter, whichever one, too short. Thank you for watching.